RWBY, Volume 1, Episodes 4 and 5, The First Step. What happens? We begin with Ren waking up to find Nora already awake. The two get ready for the day, and we catch back up with RWBY admitting to wanting to be on Yang's team to avoid meeting new people. As Jaune struggles to find his stuff, we get introduced to Pyrrha as Weiss tries to team up with her. Jaune interrupts to flirt with Weiss, Pyrrha's impressive athletic resume is discussed, and the gang heads out to start their initiation. Ozpin explains his convoluted teaming system and shoots the kids off into the forest. We watch RWBY, Weiss, Ren, Yang, Pyrrha, and Jaune's landing strategies. RWBY runs around the forest for a bit and teams up with Weiss. Meanwhile, Jaune and Pyrrha form a team. RWBY shows off her semblance to Weiss, who then immediately gets attacked by Beowulfs to end the episode. Maybe they should have called this episode RWBY, cause Blake is completely absent from the episode aside from RWBY's thought bubble. Why do we get to see all the other members of the title team land except for the one who was also missing from part 1 of the episode? So, I'm glad that Nora's not annoying. It'd be real easy for a character like her to just become the yelling, bubbly, loud, annoying one of the group, but they reel her in enough to avoid that. However, this introduction of hers may be her at her weakest, and I think the reason for that is how they animated it. Ren's supposed to be tired all the time, but his animation here makes it seem more like he's just annoyed by Nora. It wasn't until episode 6 that I realized these two were supposed to be close friends. Nora's barely concealed crush on Ren doesn't help much either. For growing up together, she sure seems awkward around the guy. Luckily, the relationship between the two only improves with time, and these awkward early stages of the writing is the worst they've gotten so far. Man, remember back when RWBY hated people? It's amazing how she's gone from
okay, first of all, what does meeting people have to do with fighting? And secondly, I don't need people to help me grow up.
To
Pyrrha. Penny. I'd be lying if I said that it didn't hurt. That I didn't think about them every day since I lost them. That I didn't wish I had spent more time with them.
In only 5 volumes. I want to say it's impressive how well they've developed RWBY into being okay with friendship. Except this is kind of the only time we've ever seen her like this. By episode 9, RWBY's having wacky adventures with her team without any sort of inhibitions. By episode 13, she's handing out life advice to Jaune about leadership. By episode 15, she's the only one to offer Penny friendship while the rest of her team tries to distance themselves from her. I'm just saying, the moment RWBY meets up with Blake and Yang, she doesn't seem to have any more issues making friends. Why would you have Yang pull her hair forward like this if it's gonna look this bad? Also, you can see through the seam between her jacket and its collar here.
I'm not quite sure. I was planning on letting the chips fall where they may.
No wonder Ozpin liked you. Just let chance decide everything for you. I'm sure that'll be fine.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
This will be perfect. The smartest girl in class combined with the strongest girl in class.
And which one are you supposed to be again? So I get that Jaune's cocksure attitude here is just him trying to take his dad's advice and act confident to impress the girls, but boy is it weird. Even though this cropped up in the previous episode too, with Jaune's line of,
"Well, the name's Jaune Arc. Short, sweet, rolls off the tongue. Ladies love it."
We never see this faux confidence from Jaune again after this. This almost out-of-character attitude is a fascinating example of the writers still getting comfortable with the characters. This section is so bizarre. Pyrrha corrects Jaune, who then turns to Weiss to say, "You don't say," and then slide over to Pyrrha to flirt some more, so then Weiss can run between the two to interrupt Jaune. The way the lines are performed, it sounds like Jaune's dismissing Pyrrha, not engaging with her. Like, if you just listen to the scene without the visuals, it sounds like Jaune's "you don't say" is him trying to ignore Pyrrha to continue talking to Weiss. And Weiss sounds like she's directly responding to him, not cutting in to defend Pyrrha. I think it was originally written to go like this.
Hearing rumors about teams. I was thinking you and me would make a good one. What do you say?
Actually, I think the teams are comprised of 4 students each, so...
You don't say. Well, hot stuff. Play your cards right, and maybe you could join up with the winning team.
Jaune, is it... Do you have any idea who you were talking to?
Not in the slightest, Snow Angel.
But then they figured this was a good segue into Pyrrha setup, and so cut the script up and just kept the same performances and changed the animation to fit what they needed. This is a relatively minor thing, but it's always bothered me. How does Jaune not recognize Pyrrha if she's on his favorite cereal? He's already wearing the Pumpkin Pete hoodie, why wouldn't he be able to identify the cute girl on the box? I love the cereal box effect around Pyrrha here. It's adorable. Did Weiss run around the locker so she could approach Jaune from this side?
Do you really think you're in a position to ask her to be on your team?
I guess not. Sorry.
Actually, Jaune, I think you'd make a great leader.
Oh, stop it.
Seriously, please stop it.
Check out how weird it is that Pyrrha looks towards Jaune on her right, but then walks in front of him to leave the screen. Animation blunders like this are pretty common in Volume 1. They had the tendency to treat the animation like it's only 2D, without considering how weird this lack of depth is to a viewer. However, they do get better with this, and even by the end of this volume, the girls start to really behave like they exist in a 3D world, rather than being pasted over an image like how we see here. Why wouldn't they explain the team thing upon application into the school? Wouldn't the freshmen know about teams by simply seeing some upperclassmen around? We later learned that all the schools have this team-based structure. Shouldn't the knowledge of, you will be in a team of 4 in high school be common knowledge in this world? Especially for those whose parents are either huntsmen or teachers. Ty and Crow should have mentioned all of this to Ruby way before she got accepted into Beacon. Why is she so surprised by this? While part of me likes the whole destiny angle with Ozpin's partner picking method, I can't help but acknowledge how dumb it is. If it's in these kids' best interest to pick a partner they work well with, why not let the kids intermingle for like a week, get to know each other, then pick a partner based on who they click with? What if Blake had bumped into Cardin? Him being a racist asshole would surely lead to poor teamwork at the best, or Blake dropping out at the worst. Lucky for us, this world seems to run on fate, so everyone gets to be with their best friend anyway.
You will meet opposition along the way. Do not hesitate to destroy everything in your path, or you will die.
Sounds like a good way to have a student die and have their brother go on a murder-based revenge plot to kill you, Oz. Just saying. While I like the catapult idea, these would not work. They're too short. Everyone would just faceplant into the grass in front of them. Fun fact. Part 2 is the shortest episode of the volume, and 45 seconds of it is dedicated to the opening and end credits, meaning it's really only 3 minutes and 50 seconds of content. To think there are those who complain about 15-minute-long episodes being too short nowadays. Seeing almost everyone's landing strategy is a lot of fun. It's not something I'd usually consider, and it's a fun way to demonstrate some of their abilities. It's a good example of action that isn't necessarily a fight. There were a lot of complaints about Volume 5's lack of action, and those complaints were usually met with the responses of, would you rather just have the characters mindlessly fight each other? No, but something like this, an activity or a challenge that allows the characters to utilize their repertoire of abilities, is an equally entertaining way to put some life into the show. Having Ruby's thoughts be in the RT animated adventure style is a cute touch. Wouldn't it have been awkward if Ruby had just run into some new person she hadn't met yet?
Rollerblading sometime. It's super fun. It'd probably take—
You know, there's really no rules to enforce the first person you see as your partner thing. Weiss could have just kept on wandering around if she felt like it. This was definitely a ploy schemed up by Pyrrha. Land quickly, pull out scope, find Jaune, pin him down with my spear. Oh, I gotta go get my weapon now. Looks like I'll end up running into Jaune as I go find it. You sneaky devil.
I will not let my mission be delayed because you're too slow. I swear if I get a bad grade because you're—
What exactly are the grading criteria for this assignment? It seems the only way you could fail would be to either not find a partner, not get the relic, or die. Where does Ruby go? If you're trying to be Weiss's friend, why would you just fuck off like that? No wonder Ruby doesn't like making new friends. She sucks at it. And so, that was the first step. This episode marks the beginning of stuff actually starting to happen. Until now, it's basically just been setting up characters in the setting. With the start of the initiation, the plot has actually begun to roll forward. But if we're being honest, almost nothing happens this episode. The bulk of Part 1 was dedicated to Ren and Nora's introduction and Jaune's attempted flirting. Part 2 was basically just them landing. If we look at the plot-relevant stuff, it's just the explanation of the initiation's rules and the establishment of Team Ruby and Weiss and Team Jaune and Pyrrha. However, while very little technically got done, I enjoyed getting to see the characters continue to interact. With a cast this big, character interactions really need to be able to support the show. It can't all be fights and plot progression, and I think they do a good job here. The only problem that arises comes from the almost out-of-character dialogue seen here. Nora being shy around Ren, Jaune perpetuating a confident front around cute girls, RWBY wanting to be a loner. These aren't pursued character traits, so while the dialogue between them is entertaining, it also isn't really accurate. That being said, this shouldn't be seen as a negative. These were the early stages of writing for RWBY. Rooster Teeth were clearly still figuring out these characters, and these never-seen-again characteristics are an interesting relic of the early production of the show. The episode isn't a very productive one, but its end product is a fascinating first step into the show proper.
Is your favorite part of the day when people walk in and you turn them away and they have these sad looks on their face and they're like, oh, and they go back to their car crying and like their kids are like, why, mommy? Like, oh, Kara wouldn't let us in.
Yep. They're like eating ice cream and you knock it out of their hand.
Now pick it up and eat it.
You push them down and kick dirt in their face.
They watch
No
you do
dreams
that.
for you.
Somebody was here last week and she was like, get out. I saw them have like their walk of shame through the parking lot like, oh.